the talking point is this going to be his last game, Jim Harbaugh in Michigan? Is he going to ride into the sunset, meaning the sunset, back into the National Football League? Because there are some openings. So or is he just driving up the price to stay at Michigan? I don't know.
Could be either. He's got a agent now who represents, I believe, Sean Payton.
And at the time, I believe it was Tom Brady's agent as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still is like post-football, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think he's definitely looking that way. There's been reports of some interest, and just another rumor that is we're going to get a million of them over the next few weeks, because hot topic right now is who's coaching where.
Yeah, so should we talk about that hot topic? Should we talk about the spiciness of that? Because the coaching carousel, it is considered Black Monday, as far as this is when a lot of coaches get fired. And coincidentally, we think there could be more moves, but the ones that have been fired so far, Arthur Smith with the Falcons, Ron Rivera was let go by the Commanders, and then
we're going to go back.
Yeah, sorry, going back, Brandon
Reich as well.
Frank Reich, Brandon Staley, and
McDaniels. We can't forget about it. It's crazy. It's like
it
doesn't feel like it was this season. It feels like it's been so long since
so true.
Some firings have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's actually, it's easier to do the teams. Which teams have the openings? We'll just start with this. The two teams where I'll be honest, think we can agree on this. Carolina Panthers, best of luck whoever goes in there right now. I don't think there's any spot that you can feel comfortable with how much they gave up. They fired their GM. You fired Frank Reich. You are rebuilding yet again. Mm-hmm. That's the least exciting landing spot. The Raiders, I would love to see Antonio Pierce stay in Vegas.
You have to keep him.
Give him a shot at least. Mm-hmm. Give him a shot to see what he can do, because the locker room seems like they've really rallied around.
Yeah, they're lighting up fucking stogies and having a great time, and they believe in what the message is, and that's being tough. And that's what the Raiders want to be, is tough defensively. And they actually looked a lot better down the stretch. And then the other teams, you got the Commanders, the Falcons, the Chargers. And those are the three teams I want to talk about, because the one that's been linked the most to Rocco with Jim Harbaugh is the Chargers. So why, in this case, in your opinion, why would the Chargers be kind of that sexy landing spot? Why don't you explain to the listeners?
I mean, Jim Harbaugh, being a former quarterback himself, I mean, he's been able to do really solid things with quarterbacks over the course of his career, and really each level that he's been at. So Justin Herbert, this is a team, when we brought Sean Merriman on the show, and I think Sean Merriman, I could be wrong, but I believe he tweeted about like Jim Harbaugh would be a great candidate for the job.
Yes.
And then someone asked him about the Raiders opening. He said it could, but he kind of echoed what I said, like giving Antonio Pierce a chance there. So Chargers wise, it's a team that made the playoffs last season and obviously didn't go the way that they wanted it to go with that comeback loss to the Jaguars. But a talented team with there is talent at, it seems like, every single position on the field. And this was just a failure of a season for the Los Angeles Chargers. So to have Justin Herbert, a guy that was looked at, I feel like before the season and still is top 10, top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
So he's got talent. They have talent at the receiver position. They have talent defensively. If you're looking to hire someone, or if you're looking at someone to bring in, Jim Harbaugh has the experience. He's taken a team to the Super Bowl before. He's winning at every single level. So I would be on the phone right now, and who knows? It could be a done deal right now, and we don't even know. I'm sure there could be reports that come out after the game, but it really would not surprise me to see Jim Harbaugh in LA next season.
Well, and really with the Chargers, it's a culture type of change. They have one of the most expensive defensive contractor, that their situation there, as much as where they're financially a little bit stuck. And that was a part there. They were a very expensive defense that underperformed under Brandon Staley, but they're looking for a culture change. And one of the culture changes is finishing games. Mm-hmm. The Chargers, no team over the last 2 years seemed like they were on the either barely sneaking out a win or were on the other side of it, losing those close games. And a lot of it was criticized to Brandon Staley taking, the fall for it. He's the head coach. But to your point, Justin Herbert, people could say all they want. He's the dude can play. The dude can ball.
Talented.
So it should be very interesting. And Jim Harbaugh, like you said, he's done it And look at that culture in Michigan. They finally got over that hump. But let's go to another spot real quick, and it's to Atlanta, Hotlanta, Zach, because this team actually, and I know it's not going to be for Jim Harbaugh. Let's go away from Jim Harbaugh here for a second. He's not going to Atlanta. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
But some head coach going there is going into a really, really fun opportunity when you look at that offense.
I mean, I would put this up there, if not above the Chargers, because in the Chargers, you have a lot of talent, but you have talent that's under bigger contracts. You have guys where you have to maneuver. There's veterans. You have to kind of see, who do we want to keep? Who do we not want to keep? With the Falcons, you just have young superstars that have not gotten an opportunity. The past 3 drafts, we've gotten top 10 picks: Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. All 3 talent through the roof. But we haven't been able to see them completely put it together and utilize this talent. I mean, we saw Bijan yesterday. That's what we were expecting all year. Over 100 yards through the air. He just making guys miss, taking simple screen passes to the house, 80 yards. That was the Bijan we want to see. And I think for a coach, an offensive-minded coach, this is ideal. This is a fantastic spot because you are – I like Ritter, but you're a quarterback away. If you get a good quarterback who doesn't have to be a superstar, but just a guy who can control the game, that's an incredible spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at also that division, the Buccaneers just won at 9-8, and I love what Baker did this year. Awesome for Baker. And it's also ironic that the team that waived him, the Carolina Panthers, that's who they clinched. Now, granted, it was not a great game by the Buccaneers, but they won the game, and Baker Mayfield is going to the playoffs and got that big incentive bonus for sending. I think it was $1 million incentive bonus for the Bucs getting that division crown and going to the playoffs. But for Atlanta, I mean, damn. And I know the frustration. Atlanta's a Joe Flacco away from being an elite squad.
Oh yeah,
it's not a crazy take anymore with how hot Joe Flacco is. Joe Flacco, and we'll get into January Joe here in a little bit.
But
go ahead, Brad. I know you had a take on this situation.
So I had one on Harbaugh, but that's fine. We already addressed it. But I wanted to actually give a take on the Atlanta situation, because I would say if I was an offensive-minded coach, I would be hesitant to go to Atlanta. Yes, they have all the personnel, but they need a quarterback, and they just don't have one. Sure, you could pick up somebody like Joe Flacco and be good for a year, but and you look at the draft order, Falcons are all the way down at 8. So, Caleb Williams obviously off the table. Penix Jr. is probably off the table, and then it starts to get thinner and thinner at quarterback once you get to 8. Unless they make some sort of trade that bumps them up, I struggle to see how Atlanta is going to be any different next year than they are this year, unless they get a solid franchise type quarterback. So if I'm a coach, if I'm somebody like Jim Harbaugh that wants to go somewhere, I don't think Atlanta's all that attractive to me.
I'll tell you what, big Penix energy going to Atlanta. I don't think that's off the table.
There's I just pulled up a CBS mock draft, and they have him going to Atlanta at 8.